What do you view as the purpose for people, for humanity in any sense? Like, what's the purpose of us being here, living here, doing what we do on the daily?
Man, the purpose of human beings. So now you got me thinking for real, for real. Purpose of human beings. Well, first and foremost, I will say that.
So, what's going on, guys? Today we're here for the second Blue Vanity artist interview. Here we have Cuauhtémoc here. Is that how we properly pronounce your name?
That's the beautiful pronunciation.
So with respect to your name, Cuauhtémoc, what's that mean?
Yeah, so my name, growing up as a kid, it was definitely an experience, and I will say it's an indigenous name. So it actually means descending eagle, and it's an Aztec name, from the Aztec Empire. So yeah, that's actually one of the main reasons that, allowed me to look into myself a lot more and into my indigenous history and for the Native Americans through this continent. So that's what my name means. And a lot of people, they may not be aware that it's also my artist name, but that is my artist name as well. And I chose that because, my favorite artists like Michael Jackson uses his actual name. And then I look up to that, right? You look at Beyonce as well. She uses her name, so I look up to them. So that's what my name means.
I see, I see. I'm gonna be honest. Your music sounds really crazy. What goes into producing it?
Man, honestly, it's a pleasure to be here. First and foremost, it's, SoundCloud. I have a SoundCloud, the bottom of the track list, that was when I was 16. And of course, the most recent song on the SoundCloud is called Psychotherapy. And I made that, I think, last year. I won't say my age exactly, but at the moment, I do go on YouTube. I have a very specific beat selection process that I go through. Literally, after a haircut that I got last week, which means a lot also, now I'm gonna start choosing a specific producer to work with. I have my own 40, just like Drake.
It's okay if you don't want to answer, but what goes into the significance behind the haircut?
Yeah, so and by the way, this is my energy, right? This is how I'm approaching things. But the haircut, so I've been tapping into my indigenous. I believe that I am indigenous to this land. I live in the United States of America with 3Ks. I live currently in North Carolina, and just I'm going through a decolonization process of understanding that I'm living in a colonial society, and I grew up Mexican, Latino. This haircut that I had last week, it's a symbol of rebirth, just leaving behind old memories and traumas as well, and entering a new realm, a new journey. So that's what it means for me.
I got you 100%. I know there's a lot of people too that really see like significance in hair. Like I know for me, I grow out my hair just to see my growth. And I really feel like there's something with hair that really allows you to get that growth too. So with respect to Psychotherapy, that's the song that you mentioned before too. I was listening to that before and there were a few lyrics that stood out to me, like oscillation is needed, grab the knowledge or bring it back to the hood. What do you mean by these lyrics?
Yeah. And I appreciate it since that is the most recent one. Just for the past, I would say 3 to 4 years since I was with long hair, and I know we're meeting now with in this stage that I am right now, but for psychotherapy is about my experience with that long hair, which is I've gained a lot of knowledge and a lot of experiences. I was mentored, and isolation is needed. I do believe that not only for people but for myself. That's what it helped me. I did step away from a lot of things. I wasn't on social media at all. Now, you're on Instagram, you see me posting consistently now, but I had to step away and, find myself before trying to help others. But now I'm in a place where I can help others. Going back to the hood, I never really want to accept that that's where my environment is, but apparently it is, right? Because historically, there's a lot of shootings, firearms, and stuff like that going on, and a lot of gun violence here. That's the sense meaning behind that lyric right there.
With respect to your upbringing, what was that like?
Yeah. I'm really young, and I'm not gonna say my age specifically. I'm pretty young. I will say I'm between the 20s and 30s range. Upbringing, I will say as a kid, thankfully I've had, a good family around me, both my parents. And I will say that I did have a lot of energy and I still do. But, I just had a lot of rage, I didn't know how to let that out. I did a lot of stupid stuff, but I will say I was influenced by a lot of, gang culture. So I'm exposed to that. That's what I was exposed to, and doing a lot of stupid stuff, dumb stuff. When I was 16, I actually started participating in my local church youth group, not even just being a part of it, but I've also give back to the youth since I was 16. So I've been giving back to youth since at that age. Now, older, I'm able to provide a lot more value. So that's a little bit of my background. I've always been into music since I was 12. Rap is my main genre, but
Mhm.
I'm definitely expanding into Mexican regional music, reggaeton, right? People know Bad Bunny, stuff like that. So that's a little bit about my upbringing.
I was also gonna ask too. I saw on your Instagram you were tagged in a Immaculate Conception Church, one of their posts. So with respect to that, is that where you also like volunteer, you help out?
Yeah, man, you do your research. I like that. So I'm tagged in. That was I think last year, and I actually had my long hair in that post. Yeah, I left it there just for people to see. That was something I did and do. Yeah, that's the church where I help a lot. I try to go every weekend, but they invited me to speak. Just talk a little bit about myself and someone who's around their age range to give them guidance as to how life is, especially after high school. Right? Should people go to college? Should they not? And I gave my experience to it, and that I just gave them a talk, and hopefully they took that and ran with it. But that was that event, so it was definitely powerful.
You see as college as being a good route to go, or what's your take on it?
Man, that's a great question. Yeah, man. I like this interview. I really like your energy. Before going into this interview, and you have intention behind everything that I do and the way that I post and college. Oh, man, honestly, just straight up like this. I did not waste my time in college. I didn't party. And that's my experience, right? That's my experience. Maybe I look back and I say I should have, but I didn't. I didn't party at all. Honestly, I did not go to any parties
I
for the
see.
4 years that I went to. And I was just straight networking. I was just in there networking. And year 1 and 2, I was just consuming knowledge, not only from the books, but also during that time, I did seek mentorship from people. And I
Mhm.
was like, hey, can you guide me in this and that? But then my last few years, I was in leadership positions for student organizations, and that did open doors. But that's a little bit about my thoughts on it. I think at the end of the day, it's more so honestly, if you're going to college, not only do the books, but network, build relationships, because whatever your path may be, I think college maybe now is not as valuable as it was back then. Now it's like, okay, you got a bachelor's, cool, but maybe the MBA is the new bachelor's degree.
Mhm.
So I'm hearing and seeing too. But I think when I networked and it did work out for me. And I think it's more so how people use college, and if you're just going to waste your time, it's going to end up being a waste of time.
100%. It's how you look at it and how you take it in. So, with respect to like the world, there's so much going on, so much negativity. Like, how do you find inspiration?
And that is powerful. And that word negativity, I ain't gonna lie. Look, when I was a lot younger, this is actually just a few 4 or 5 years back, I was too into like negativity and it's like that. I let it consume me. But then I think throughout the years, just being around more, I would say, successful or positive people, that's my mindset now. But yes, I am what we call the belly of the beast, right? I do love going back into areas that are affected, right, with gun violence, stuff like that. And I love speaking to the youth. I love becoming the solution. But for today in society, how do I bring that positivity? I think it's just being the solution, being the example, and going against the grain with things. But that's my answer to your question.
What's your favorite song that you've put together?
Favorite song? Matter of fact, I have a lot that I don't drop, and that's actually been a problem. And also, I'm really sorry, I apologize, but to tie back to one of the questions that was within the previous question, which is how do I find inspiration? Looking back at the OGs, look at the OG rappers. I've been listening to a lot of Tupac. I can't name specific songs, but just I'm listening to their sound.
Hmm.
Their delivery, Tupac, Biggie, Nas. So I have a very lyrical background, and that's what I've been doing to find inspiration. I believe you have to go to the greats to become great or greater. Honestly, I haven't thought about it, but one of the things that I find inspiration from regarding to also what's my favorite song, and this will tie into that, is I go outside with nature. I love nature. I love trees. And so I actually, whenever you post this interview, I actually just submitted a song today, June 17th, to all platforms. And that's honestly at the very moment my most favorite song published to date, which is it's actually called Art of War. That's my favorite song right now, and you'll see why it's my favorite.
When is it going to be out? Today or tomorrow?
So I use DistroKid, and
Okay.
I've been using it, and I looked at it. It's been 4 years since I dropped the song through DistroKid, so it is gonna be on all platforms. It should be out hopefully today at like in a few hours.
Okay, okay, for sure. If it is out, I'll have the link in the description below so everyone can go check that out. With respect to just looking deeper into you as a person, do you read any books?
I don't read any books.
You don't read any books.
I don't read books.
Is there any book that stands out to you that you have read in the past? You'd to show that it does have some benefit in it, or do you not see books as a valuable resource?
Yeah, so if I were to read a book,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
would be The Kabbalion, right?
Uh,
Because I've heard that it's helped a lot of people. I'm a big avid believer in, and it's science, it's all facts, right? The laws of the universe, the law of magnetism, the
yep.
law of attraction, which is one of the biggest ones. So I think The Kabbalion, if I were to read, that would be my favorite book. One that I listen to, I love when I can diving into YouTube, listening to summaries of books, right?
Mhm.
Because I don't read.
Yeah.
Well, I don't read, but it would be the 48 Laws of Power. I'm gonna give people that one. So
With respect to you also, are you religious? Are you spiritual in any sense? Because I know you were at that church.
yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, here we go. We go something up today. And especially since I cut my hair, I've been using balance a lot more, right? So throughout these past few years, I've been more on the peaceful side, but I feel like there should be some balance. Posted on my story, right? Peace if possible, violent when necessary.
Hmm.
Now it's very how you can take it. Just for me, that's something that's big right now. So yeah, I grew up in the church, ever since I was a kid. And in the United States, the called Latino, right? Hispanic diaspora
Hmm.
in this country, for Mexicans, that's typically the go-to religion. And I grew up on that, right? So for the people who are watching, you know, they're big on La Virgencita, which is known as the Virgin Mary, and that's within the Catholic Church. That's what they believe. We believe, and also, right, we believe in Jesus Christ. But I will say this though, I grew up there, but I am exposed to a lot of knowledge. So
Hmm.
sometimes I do, get into topics with some people within that church and churches as well. And I'll say, look, this is how I move, but don't let that discredit my credibility with working with the youth. So I think at the very moment, at this period in my life, I'm an avid believer that everything is connected.
I got you. So this might lead into the next question I was going to ask. It's a very loaded question. So what do you view as the purpose for people, for humanity in any sense? Like what's the purpose of us being here, living here, doing what we do on the daily?
Man, the purpose of human beings. So now you got me thinking for real, for real. Purpose of human beings. Well, first and foremost, I will say that we as human beings, we have not been taking care of Mother Earth. We've been so consumed with social media and we've been away from Mother Nature. So honestly, we are straying away from our natural instincts, which is to grow plants, which is to interact with the earth.
Hmm.
And I do think that one of many, but one of the things that we humans should be doing is interacting more with Mother Earth. Mother Earth is dying, right? But also, some people they move, and I'm big on balance, right? Some people believe that we should just live life, smoke weed, get drunk,
Yeah.
and fornicate and this and that. I think that's fine, right? I'll say I don't drink and I don't smoke, and I have been sober for it looks like a year and a half now. I haven't smoked, I
Mhm.
haven't drank no alcohol, and I will say that I have improved as a human being myself. So I think that with my research and my studies of mentorship and looking at different subjects, I think that the purpose or the end goal for the human being is to tap into the third eye. So now you got me really thinking for real. I think we have not been tapping into our higher self. We have not reached our higher chakra, right? We have not reached that spiritual realm that we can have the ability to,
Hmm.
because a lot of our ancestors, right? My ancestors are from the southern tribes of Mexico, which is called the Baja Mixteca, generally known in Mexico as the Aztecs. We talk about the Egyptians, the Vikings. They were all tapped in. So I think at the very moment we are not tapped in with that vibration and that energy. And I think the purpose should be to tap into the higher self.
Yeah, that's a really good answer though still. I see a lot of truth within what you said and especially with your own higher self and the amount of growth you can gain and the amount of growth in overall society and the overall world if everyone taps into their own selves. It's insane. It's insane the amount of growth we can all have. Obviously, X is a huge portion of my channel. I just wanted to ask with respect to X, that's one thing that really stands out about X to you or one thing that's really motivated you by him?
And I'll say this. Hey. Of course, across your channel, through X. And first and foremost, X was definitely a part of my journey. He impacted me, and I think people should separate the message from the messenger with many things. For with many prophets as well, with
Mhm.
many stories of people and people around us as well. He was very powerful, especially if he was alive today. He could have done a lot more. I feel like he was really entering a period in his life where he was going to outbeat everybody. Not even just rappers, but any artist, because it's the artistry that he tapped into. I think it was more so breaking barriers that separated X from everybody else for me. That's one thing I admire most about X. But I will say one of the most things that I love about X is that he was not afraid of speaking wisdom into people through social media platforms. And I will say there is a lot of people, I do know a lot of people through social media that they go into subjects a lot deeper than I do, and I learn from them. But I'll just say that he knows how to move, and I wish there's some things he could have done to prevent some things, but I admire his ability to just take risk and break barriers.
With respect to other artists out there, are there any that you listen to that really motivate you?
Yeah, for sure. I will say honestly myself, I'm the
Yeah.
best artist there is. But I'll give you some names though. I'll give you names with who inspires me to create my music. It's nature. It's the trees, it's ants, it's plants, it's the song that I posted today and hopefully is out, for people to listen. It's called The Art of War. My music process is through nature. I go outside and I meditate, I breathe the air. I definitely receive some messages from a higher source. But in regards to this physical realm, right, with artistry, music wise, always admired Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson for me is the perfect artist. I actually grew up listening and singing to R&B music. So R&B is also one of my inspirations through my music process, but it's Michael Jackson, of course, R&B, soul. I love some jazz. I've been looking into some artists who like Basquiat. I think he passed away somewhere in the 90s or 2000s. I've been tapping into my artistry. Myself, nature, Michael Jackson. That's what it is.
So we know the next single's coming either like today, tomorrow. When's the next album coming? Any big projects on the way this upcoming months?
That's a great question. So I'm right now stepping into this new industry, this how things are going. What I'm gonna say is that right now I'm just focusing on releasing singles. That's my main focus: releasing singles, doing interviews, right, and a
Yep.
lot of stuff. But there may be experimental EPs I might think about to do. At the moment, I'm not really thinking about albums, but I will say that my singles they tell a story piece by piece, and it is its album in itself. But that's something I'll definitely have to think about a lot more.
And how do you want to be remembered as an artist? What do you want to be remembered for?
Honestly, I want to be remembered for the message, and the message is protect the youth, save the youth, and inspire the youth. Think that that I do. I don't just right. Like I said, you see my posts. I'm helping people in my area, my community, and I'm
Mhm.
always giving back. And I know at some point I'll be able to give back a lot more in a larger scale. But at the moment, it's to protect the youth, protect Mother Earth, and that's just it's a message. Just the message. That's it.
I'd really like to thank Cuauhtémoc for coming out today, doing this interview with me. He's a great artist, up and coming, and he has some really great songs for you to check out. We'll have some links in the description below. I actually mess with his music, so check it out. Really high production and a really great message with it. Is there anything you'd like to say to your fans before we end it here?
Yes. The last thing I'm gonna say is the 5% will comprehend, and you got to spread that message to the 85%.
If you'd like to be interviewed up next, please join the Discord below or reach out to my business email that is also in the description below. We'll have another one out next Monday. Thank you for the constant support. Let's continue growing, let's continue evoluting, and check out Cuauhtémoc's music. He's the boy for real.